what we are about to get into for 10 weeks is going to be the Uniform Commercial Code. We are going to be looking at each article and looking at the definition section 100%, just so that we can pull the very important information, and then we will go deep within text. This is state code. So this state code, it applies to other provisions only if applicable. So this is where we as individuals get to come in and make state law applicable to other laws. How y'all feel about that? How many people is familiar with the Uniform Commercial Code? What's your thoughts on it?
It runs the world.
It has so many outlets that people are just not aware of, and the rights that are, provided to us, that this is a whole nother world. And if people think they're going to get it like right away, I am on what, Kamaya, 9 months with you, and I am still twiddling my thumbs like, what in the F am I learning?
Something new every day, all the time. This is why you can't pay attention more so to what is going around you, but the law, the facts. Because yes, it is going to give us rights, all of our rights. But most importantly, today, we're going to be looking at Article 1, which is going to be dealing with provisions. Each and every one of y'all on this call right now has a contract with different provisions. If you don't, then say something. Somebody else said it runs the world. Absolutely. Commerce and trade. And that's what we're learning about. Commerce and trade. Listen to me. Whatever reason y'all came here, let it go. Leave it from the moment we click or I click on Article 1. Whatever reason you have or reasons you think or know, let it go. Whatever you have been taught in the past, let it go. Whatever you think, let it go. Just let it go and be present and be here so that you can interpret your provisions according to Article 1 of the code, and you will be able to overstand each and every contract and agreement that you sign. How y'all feeling?
I'm excited.
Excited.
Excellent.
Let's go.
Let it go.
So excited.
Article 1. Whenever y'all are reading agreements and contracts, you always want to look at things that are bold and conspicuous. It is calling for your attention. Things that are calling for your attention is what helps you give pure and genuine intentions, whether it's information or actions. Article 1 of the code is speaking to transactions. When you think about transactions, think about provisions, general provisions. You're transacting according to different provisions. Do y'all got any questions about that? How y'all feeling? What's up? What did y'all hear?
Transaction.
Okay.
Article
So
1.
definitely-
Article 1 deal with transaction.
Okay, definitely something you want to know. Transactions. Anytime you do anything with any other person, you're transacting with them. But most importantly, it's helping you with something in particular when it comes to commerce and trade. Look at that title. What are we about to talk about when it comes to transacting with another person? What are we following?
Provisions.
General provisions.
Provisions.
The rules.
Provisions. You can look at something like this, which is an agreement. I think this is with Capital One. Different provisions. Different provisions. Whenever Capital One gave you this because you took whatever plastic card, it has different provisions. They transacting with you. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? How do y'all feel right now? What are y'all hearing?
Variance by agreement.
Okay.
Different offers.
Offers. Okay. Based on different provisions. Different. Not the same. The contrary. The opposite. But consistent. And this agreement has provisions which you can work together with a lot of different people. Do y'all understand?
Absolutely.
If you don't, talk to me.
Yes.
Okay, so
Now that you tell us,
Okay.
because
So
I wouldn't
different-
have never thought about what you just shared with us.
Think about it, because it runs the world. Literally, in contracting, it runs the world. Think about it. Each and every time you leave your principal place of business, which is your home, think about it. Especially if you're dealing with payments and financing, credit, anything where you know you're giving something and you ain't had the money for it. Provisions.
So I
Article
can
1.
actually say that, sorry, Matt,
No,
that
no.
in I work for an orthodontist, and we go through their contracts with them before they start treatment. And there is a truth in lending disclosure, piece in there. And after starting, going through the Uniform Commercial Code, I look at that completely different when I explain it to people, because now things are clicking and I'm looking at terms differently, and it is crazy what this opens your eyes to.
Man, everything around us in a different form or formation based on each and every person, not just you. This is uniform. Let's speaking in general to persons and organizations who deal with contracts and agreements with different provisions, terms, and conditions. If you're not creating something like that, then you should feel like a third person reading this, as well as a third person reading any other type of agreement or document, because you know that you're returning that to another person so that commercial standards can be applied. This is the only way they're going to even, this is why they advertise to you, the differences. So you want to pay attention to those provisions. Like, make sure that as you performing and dealing with another person, all of the provisions are met. All of the requirements are there. There is no defaults. And this is why Article 1 is so important. So many of us are aggrieved and don't know it. Or we're aggrieved, but we don't know what to do about it. Be present right now with transactions. You're going to read and go read multiple contracts where they're going to talk about transactions. Refer here. Back here. Your transactions and the way you perform when it comes to the different provisions of the contracts and agreements that you have with another person. You promise to make sure that those provisions are fairly observed according to commercial standards, which is commerce and trade. That's what you promise to do. How y'all feeling?
Good.
Better already.
Good.
Good.
But that's the promise to pay. The provision.
Man, yes, it is.
Wow.
And that obligation that you have, which is a beautiful thing, just like you have rights, that obligation, you can pass it along to another person and they can take on that obligation and they'll pay. Unless you expect to pay. If not, you can pass along that obligation to another person. And that's the right that you have. This is why observing the UCC is so important, so that you can know what rights that you have to another person's business through relation, association, being connected to. However, you can add to the situation, not take away from, but add to. That's why it's provisions with an S. You're always adding to whatever anybody else said, but with facts only. And that's why this article is so important, because that's what they get into immediately. The facts behind you transacting with any person or organization. So you always want to look at things bold and conspicuous. Article 1 is made up of 3 parts. They give you the rules. They give you the interpretations and the general provisions. Today, it don't matter what I think. It don't matter what any of y'all think. It don't matter what these organizations think or these representatives think or anybody else think. Today, Article 1 of the code is going to give you the interpretation that you should have, you need to have whenever you are a part of, connected to, or related to another person's business. So regardless of what you know, what I know, what we think, Article 1 is going to give us the true interpretation behind transacting with persons and organizations. And then they're going to tell us the rules that apply. You're going to go look at agreements and they're going to have rules. I think I just posted that in my story too today. They talk about rules. You got to know the rules around this interpretation so that you can comply with provisions. We're going to get to the most important parts here in each part. We're going to be doing this for 10 weeks in each and every article so that y'all truly begin to understand how to just follow the rules. If you follow the rules, then you're completing provisions where they may be incomplete. So that means that you are filling in different terms based on the conditions that meet the different provisions in your contracts. Just do what you say you'll do and make sure they're doing what they said they'll do. So if you're doing what you're saying you'll do, then it enforces them to do what they said that they'll do in any contract that you have. Whatever you reading that you love what you're seeing, they take the action. They're the one who controls the action. After. How y'all feeling?
Let's go.
Seems
So
like a
the
lot of
article-
these banks and stuff don't even know this stuff, or attorneys, which I think is really interesting.
The banks know it, but it's not for them to know state law. It's for like bank who is just like a person who is engaged in the business of banking, but like credit unions, like real banks, they know federal law. That's what they abide by. US 111s and consumer laws, because that's what they deal with. This is state law right here. So if you in Tennessee, Michigan, wherever you are, they have their own version of this UCC, but this is applying to this. So banks in the state, they do apply by this, but to promote their business in the state, unless other provisions apply for federal law. And that's where you come in. Because the only way that you're going to be governed by federal law is if an individual is involved. They'll cover you dollar for dollar. So banks know that they issue you things so that you can partake in different types of transactions because they can't do it alone. So they don't know how you would act, but they know how they could act if they had something suitable to actually perform with. So they know. But all banks have a bank. So it just depends on which bank you're talking about. And today, you're going to get a real good glimpse of that so that you can clear up whatever it is that you believe or think a bank is. How you feel?
I'm excited.
Can't wait.
I'm good.
Excited.
Mike,
Yeah.
so Article 1, general provisions. So when the instrument, it's not suitable, that's when the provisional payment, it becomes.
Man, exactly. And this is where you have to make sure and see that other provision is met so that obligations are met fully. It's based on provisions with an S.
You the best.
Not just one, two.
Oh.
So we got to help them. So that means that we have to have good faith. We have to observe the UCC to see how they operate together to apply state and federal law. How you feeling? What you thinking?
You're great.
Okay. So the scope of this article, this applies to a transaction. Yeah, when you read, you must be present. You have to and must read with intent and know why you are reading whatever it is you're reading. Know why you're there. Right now, they're letting us know that this article right here, it applies to a transaction. So there was a transaction that happened based on certain provisions, but there's another one that can happen to the extent that it is governed by other articles in the Uniform Commercial Code that would allow for federal laws to apply. So whenever you receive a bill, whenever you receive your agreement, it is based on the transaction under state law. Do y'all understand?
Yes.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to come in and make sure we abide by the provisions so that federal law apply. And this is another type of transaction. And another article would apply at that time. So how y'all feeling? You must transact with them on the state level, and then federal laws can apply after if an individual is involved, because they will cover you dollar for dollar under the state. This is why they don't want the state to control the money. It would never work.
Mm.
It would never
So we
work.
get-
They should never ever think that we under y'all. Why? No. How
That
y'all
makes
feeling?
sense. That's amazing. So we have to prepare these documents and everything so that it's ready at the state level, so that it can then be traded at the federal level and covered dollar for dollar. And that's why each state has their own codes.
Exactly. All laws that apply whenever they draft an agreement until that contract is made. Now federal laws is applying. This is why payments is used for financing, because now federal laws applying. We're dealing with credit. That's in a different type of transaction. But before that type of transaction wasn't going on. So they put you on notice, like, hey, it's some other provisions in your contract that ain't quite meeting the requirements of this payment. And I'm gonna give you reasonable opportunity to say something, or I'm gonna go ahead and use it under state law. It's like kind of see it and look at it like state and federal laws beefing. State is holding some money that really belongs to the feds, all because we the people is under the state. So we want to make sure it's returned to who it needs to be returned to, through whoever got these contracts. How y'all feeling?
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Good. Because the Uniform Commercial Code put things in order. This is law and order, literally. They're going to tell you one thing and immediately next they'll clarify or give you more and give you more. It's always going to be in order. And that's what we're going to be seeing as we continue on through the weeks. So keep connecting the dots. And this is why I said, be real with yourself and say, hold on, Kamaya. You just told me something that I wasn't even, look, give us a bye week. Let me know if y'all need that time. But keep connecting these dots. I'm not going to overwhelm y'all. I'm going to take y'all to the very important parts. I'm not going to just drown y'all with the law, but it's some things that y'all must see so that y'all can understand how to interpret anytime you transact with a person or organization dealing with agreements and contracts. Some things that y'all must know so that y'all can follow the rules and won't think that, what you say go. Things are uniform. That's the general process. That's the construction that we will work together. If we work together, then we're promoting commercial code. We're promoting commercial standards. And that's what we should do based on commercial code purposes and policies. That means we must observe it. It's applicable to supplement principles of law. So whenever we're dealing with common law principles, the Uniform Commercial Code is applicable to be applied so that it comes along and gap fills for that other provision. If you have good faith. How y'all feeling?
Hey, this the Holy Trinity. Come on.
Huh?
You got the federal government, the state, and the individual.
Man, listen.
Everything is spiritual. It's spiritual, man.
Man, using other people, other things, just in a unique way. It's such a it's a cool structure, but it's weird, but it's cool. But it's like, damn, because if you can't see it, you can't see it. It's like if you don't know, you just don't know. And it's like really like that. But they said it. It's right here.
I can't lead the blind. That's why we got you to see. You got eyes.
I'm so grateful. It's just hard to tap into other people's minds. So that's what I'm trying to master. I don't have to tap into this. I have no problem with this. I'm trying to tap into the people mind so that they can snap into it and can kind of see what I see. So I'm grateful too. So gratitude. This section is giving you the purpose of the Uniform Commercial Code, why it was constructed. Why are our agreements and contracts constructed and processed based on the Uniform Commercial Code? It unites us. It's put things together. It doesn't leave things one-sided, but it provides fair and equal opportunity. It fills the gap whenever that may be a chance of not happening. The Uniform Commercial Code, it has to, it shall be liberally construed and applied to promote its underlying purposes and policies. Not just one purpose, not just one policy, but both policies underlying your commitment to pay and theirs. The Uniform Commercial Code shall be applied. Each and every agreement that you receive is going to be created according to Commercial Code standards. You're going to literally see authoritative copies of UCC or UCC literally on it, because the UCC must be construed liberally. Both parties, any person who is coming along for the purposes of doing things lawfully, you should be observing the Uniform Commercial Code. You don't get into legal business. That's not your lane. Why? What are you arguing about? You don't get into legal business. You do things lawfully. So pay attention to the law. No legal jargon. You're not an attorney or anything like that. How y'all feeling?
Excellent. So Kamayo, so we should not try to
arbitrate.
Okay, so we can talk the code, but not quote
you
it.
You don't want to talk the code. You want to use the code to control their action. So that means you want to really understand that if the UCC must be applied and construed according to law, each and every time you get into agreement, you should make sure law applies, and not just state law, but federal law as well. That's the purpose of meeting all policies.
So it's about enforcement then.
And the Uniform Commercial Code helps just with that, performance and enforcement. That's why you should observe it.
And learning it from this Cornell law is pretty much teaching it to us in all 50 states and all whatever countries, right?
Yeah, most definitely. But you also can go to your own state and see. You have different states, different rules. Louisiana don't have Article 2 because they are a purchase state. They are the only purchase state. So they straight up leasing and dealing with goods there. They like, look, credit, period. They're back. They know what's up. So they just don't even deal with sales in general. They just straight up dealing with leasing goods for services. They'll take it all on. It's just up to these other types of transactions. A transaction happened, but transactions need to happen according to the Uniform Commercial Code so that other laws, federal laws, can be applied, governing laws, those that govern commercial transactions, businesses. So y'all have units. Your bill is a unit. You have a bill of lading, and you receive a lot of units. That one unit has a commercial unit attached to it that's meant for another type of transaction. And this is how you get into transactions. And a lot of your agreements are going to talk to you about transactions, because that unit that is attached to that account that applies to federal law, that is governed in commercial transactions. You have what they consider to be a commercial unit. That certain law is permitted that they can use it to continue the expansion of their commercial practices, but only if that law allows. So you're going to see in a lot of agreements, only if federal law is permitted or if it allows, because you may not come along and choose to observe the Uniform Commercial Code to simplify things, make it clear, clarify, give clarification of how you're doing things now, how you're making it modern now. We're dealing with buy, sell, and trade. We're dealing with the past, the present, and the future. Whatever was done in the past, right now in the moment, we're fixing that so that they can cure the future, or in the future. In the future will cover the past, but not if another transaction don't happen, so that actually can happen. So one person is transacting in security interest and one person is transacting for security. Two different types of transactions. This is why you must observe the Uniform Commercial Code so that you can make it easy and simple for you to pay, because you can give it all back over to them in governing law, unless you want to pay. That means you're going to give them that legal tender versus allowing them to tender and allow for them to get funds from other governing law besides state. The state ain't going to give you nothing. So how y'all feeling?
I'm good.
Agreed.
I'm following.
You have to read all agreements. The agreements that you're reading is between parties, other parties, those who are dealing with a transaction and those that's dealing with transactions. One person wants to continue it and one person may stop payment. Truly, truly depends on each person. Uniform Commercial Code is used for each person so that things are made uniform amongst various jurisdictions. So don't look at this one-sided. It's a mirror. What you can do, they can do. What you say will cause them to do something else according to this. So you have to watch what you say and know what you're dealing with. If you have a dispute, you disputing some previous transaction that didn't include federal law, because that means you didn't transact with them in credit. How y'all feeling?
You're referring to cash payments?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
So are you referring to cash payments?
That's FRN. When you get your payment, I mean, that's a cash payment for them. It's something that you can use to turn into credit or a check. It just depends on the type of transaction that you're involved in. But I don't talk about like FRNs, like a dollar bill, like $1, $2, $3. But I only got $3, $1, $5, $10. I'm never, ever, ever talking about that. So if your mind is there, throw it out. The only thing that I would ever be talking about to y'all over the span of these 10 weeks, if I'm not comparing it to the dollar bill that you worked hard for, I'm only talking about agreements and contracts. So if you're referring to the agreement being cash or the contract being cash, then yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, cash isn't comparable here. When you're dealing with finance charges and the sum of all provisions, all charges, cash isn't comparable with that. They may offer you to pay cash, but you don't pay. You give that obligation to another person and they pay, and they don't pay in cash. They don't want you to pay in cash. They want you to use a check or order some other type of medium of exchange, but not, the hard-earned one, the more simpler one, the one that we use to make things more clear, make it more modern according to our specific circumstance or situation. How you feeling?
Is the agreement basically the rule book for the company's way to transact with them?
Yeah, and the services that they're actually offering to you and what's actually being provided so that their services can be used. Yes, you always have to read it. That's the only way you're going to understand how to create a contract with them. Because all the agreements are going to tell you that we got this agreement, but you got another agreement that could be used in the future. That's what you can contract with us, and that's why you're contracting with us. But if you don't transact again, then there's not going to be a future. It's just going to be a past and a present.
Well, I never looked at the agreement as the literal, even though you said it rule book for each transaction or how to transact. I just thought it was, some contract.
Without understanding this, and let's not even try to understand theirs. Let's just try to understand from your aspect of what it is that you promise to pay. If you don't understand this, then you can't contract with them.
And the contract creates the medium of exchange. Is that correct?
It creates the money, yes. And that's what they're going to define to us in Article 1, where we transact. Because when we have transactions with the NES, now we're creating money. Money that's authorized in domestic and foreign governments. 2 different laws apply. You have directly and indirectly. You indirectly deal with federal law and directly deal with state law, but federal laws applies to the individual so that you cover dollar for dollar. It's not until you request other laws to actually apply that it will. This agreement tells you how they are able to see that other federal law actually applies. What governs it? Just like what we're looking at right now. What governs the transactions as you use these account documents? You must observe Article 1 so that you know how to transact and what govern these agreements and contracts that we're reading about right now. That y'all was just looking at is made in accordance with the UCC. Y'all have to see these words like agreement and know that it is defined for you in the UCC. Article 1 is the first step. You transact with another person. The first step is to create an agreement. Y'all agree?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
That agreement is for use now and for future use. One that can secure future transactions if y'all seal the deal now.
Hey,
Based
Kamaya.
on the principles. Mhm.
So would we, or I, be on the right track if I were to say when we create the agreement that is at a state level and we work on that state level, but then the state level works with the federal level because we don't go into that federal level.
Directly.
We can only correct.
The federal government cannot directly advertise to you, so they use the state to do it and other persons within it because they can't do that. They covering you dollar for dollar. They can't directly just be like, here, they're going to use another. There's always another involved for separate transactions, different.
Can I make a little statement or like an analogy? Sorry, Kamaya, I keep cutting you off. So when first learning this, it was a very hard pill to swallow because of us, meaning me, knowing the FRN side of things and having to train the brain to really understand that the paper that we're receiving in the mail is a form of money, but that form of money is what gets sent to the federal level. So the way that I've started looking at it is because dollars need to be exchanged through a bank state, and then when we do that, we don't get that same bill like you told me. And then also that dollar bill, the face of it changes once it comes out of the states. So that dollar is not always going to represent that same amount, whereas the documents themselves are a federal level. So those documents get traded even though we add to it, but it's not like those documents are worth more than $1. And $1 is always going to change face depending on where it gets shipped to. So that's how I always looked at it, is the agreement is on paper and that paper is worth more than anything. So
when you first started off, you said dollars with an S. So you do have that dollar bill, that FRN, with that set number. And then you have this document, this agreement or this contract rather, that they're able to use to get another form of dollar, which is funds from the United States. That's a different type of dollar. That's the United States dollar. And that's what all of the contracts are asking you for. United States dollars, not the dollars that you circulate in the state. Like, no, I want United States dollars. So give me another type of fund. Fund me a different way. Use something else. Cash like, but not that.
Yes, a cash like equivalent.
So how y'all feeling?
That reminds me of foreign transactions.
Yes, it does. And they said in all your contracts, they want it to happen real bad.
Okay, great. I'm on the right track.
Most definitely. Let's see if they even
it's crazy, right? That you just explained how you just explained that, because so the Federal Reserve, we know it's a private for profit corporation, right? So the Federal Reserve notes is for the public and the funds is for the basically for the private. That's
exactly right. So when you think about money, it all comes down to your interpretation on what it is. This is why they have Article 1, where regardless of what you believe money is, or you think money is, or you've been trained or taught money is, I'm giving you the interpretation of what it is to the state. So yeah, we're gonna get it here. We're gonna get it here. Right now, they letting you know that look, different laws would apply. So how you see and view this dollar or this money is truly gonna be up to what you believe. So you're gonna see in a lot of agreements, your belief, what you believe. What do you believe? You're either gonna make money with them or you're gonna give money to them. How y'all feel?
I'm trying to make it with them.
Okay, or for them at least. Let their business grow. The more they grow, it benefits you. We related.
Be a good employee.
Okay. Work. So unless displaced by particular provisions of the Uniform Commercial Code, the principles of law and equity, this is something that we're dealing with. That's a transaction that took place, and that's something that will be displaced by the Uniform Commercial Code. This is why we can share equity. It's okay. If they have it, then we're always transacting in credit. You shouldn't try to take that away from them. Because by law, if they're holding it, you're transacting with them in credit for as long as transactions apply. It'll help their business. This is including law merchants, their business, and those who is related to law, who has the capacity to contract. Anybody who is 18 years or older is related to law, and you have the capacity to contract with other merchants. This is including those who deal with equity and those who deal with law. Together, we have principal and agent relationships, whether you know it or not. The moment that you fully create a contract, the principal agent relationship forms, where you're helping and working on behalf of a principal and vice versa. This relationship is coming due to different relations of law. So each and every time you transact with another person, you ought to have conduct. Your conduct should be one of law. Anytime you are performing, never legal action, ever. You should put a stop to any of that, because it'd be fraud. It's misrepresenting yourself. You are a live, living individual. The Uniform Commercial Code help whenever you are representing another to stop any fraudulent actions, any misrepresentation, any direct coercion. So they can't do it for you. You got to do it yourself. They just gonna make mistakes so that you could come along and fix it. And by law, under bankruptcy, they can deal with you in credit, validating debt whenever it's invalid. But it will cause for you to have to supplement the provision so that provisions actually apply. So you will always be supplementing the term so that a different provision can apply and validate the debt under bankruptcy laws. So credit can apply whenever they're mistaken, whatever transaction that they thought they was going to have with you with debt. It was misunderstood. It's a misrepresentation of the transaction. You're creating transactions to stop fraud. Stop up giving up that hard-earned cash or that FRN, because there's nothing they can do with it. They want to deal with rates, interest charges, numbers. They don't want to really even deal with y'all. But how y'all feeling?
That they gonna know I'm an individual?
Period. Feel like it. Know that. Begin to spend time with yourself so that you can understand and become clear of your intent, because it'll help stop you from stepping into that position. Because trust me, you can do it really easy by the words and the things that you say. A lot of people be called fraud when they attempt to use their bill and they can't understand why. Like, because y'all trying to act like us. Be you. You're an individual. You related to contracting and law. Act like it. Know the law. And know how it unites us in different jurisdictions. It's only if it applies. If it applies, then now we're continuing the expansion of our business, by commercial business, in a commercial setting. And make it simple for us and you to meet any underlying purpose that you have to pay anybody. How y'all feeling? What's your thoughts?
We're related. We're not the principal. We're related to them.
Related. We can act as, but right, we're in the same family. We're in the same boat. Because if they damaged, we damaged.
We can
There's
represent.
something wrong with them, something wrong with us. So this is why we deal with different notices, putting each other on notice of that. Like, I'm just not gonna keep it for myself. I'm gonna show you how it could be different. They sent everybody a bill with a blank spot on it. Like, here you go. Something is missing. Applicable law needs to apply, but I'm limited to the state. I need you to come along so that for the individual purpose, I could go ahead and contract with the feds. Now I can get funds. I can get credited. I can report these accounts to the CFPB so that they can deal with the FTC for fair trade and we can get commission. Income will be given. Everybody happy. Everybody cool because of this payment. It's income for them in their commercial business setting. So if it's with you at your residential setting, you should automatically know something is wrong. And they putting you on notice of that. Like, it has to come here because something is wrong. The provisions of this payment isn't enough to apply applicable law so that I deal with you in credit and not debt. How y'all feel?
So that lets us know that, you know, we have to add something because they forgot something.
Exactly. So they're gonna warn you, late payment warning, missing payment warning, so that you see it's some shit missing in this payment. I'm contractually limited. I could do things that relates to you further in the commercial business, but only if you request, only if you are involved, and you have to show that.
When we don't show that, it make us the enemy to the state.
Right. And then now we feeling like the federal government are enemies and what they not doing for us, and they like shit. Like,
you making it plain as day, Kamai. You make it. It's this thing is. Oh man, wow.
You gotta learn how to get along. Like, it seems so fucked up, but in reality, it's like, dang, it is for some people. That's what I'm saying. It's a crazy, beautiful, twisted structure, but it's not.
Well, Kamaya, I am that some people. So
it's not when you know, when you have the knowledge to know.
Right.
But when you don't know, oh man.
Man, that's what I'm saying. You stuck in the middle. Stuck in the middle. Until you allow it to be between those who is knowledgeable. Give it back. Gotta make some supplements though. And it's severe that you do that. You will be seeing severability and severe and a lot of contracts, a lot of agreements, because they want you to know that using your rights to applicable law, it's severe that you do that. We got to do that together. We have to do it together. Whatever you got, I got. Vice versa. So if they only can apply by state laws, then that's what you're only bound to until you come along and make some changes. If you don't do that because you don't feel like you have the power to choose applicable law today, you're going to get the rules to understand that you do. You can. It's a rule where you can if you interpret commercial code into any transaction that you are a part of. Because everybody else is with or without you. So they let you know the use of singular and plural is applied to general and to gender. So he is she is he. Card is cards. So it's very important that you look at different caption sections because it's going to be applying to different types of persons. This is why it's very important to look at things that are bold and conspicuous to see what's calling for your attention. But more importantly, understand that when you're looking at these agreements and you receiving these bills, you're looking at something that's between seller and creditor. You need to get that back. Literally, give it back. So it's all about how you interpret transacting with them, not how you interpret paying. Why y'all want to pay? What y'all thinking? Why y'all want to pay?
I don't want to pay.
Paying is remitting. That means that you servicing accounts. Somebody might be a banker out here. I don't know. But if you're not in that position, you're not servicing no account, so you don't want to pay anything. You want to transact with another person who actually can, according to applicable law.
I think my biggest thing is knowing that roles can switch and when the best time to understand when the role is going to be reversed and when to apply one role versus the other, but not to hold anyone else, you know, out of the knowledge when technically they are supposed to be in the knowledge and all that stuff.
You're the one who want to be out of their business. You want to be out of their knowledge. You want to be in
Well,
yours.
yes,
That
I
means you know
do.
your rights and- So that's why it seems so twisted, because it's like, dang,
I
they
don't want to
saying
know
you,
their
but
stuff. Crap.
right. But if they talking to you and they saying you feel like you, but if you know who you is, you know you an individual, so it's not really you.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
right. That's right.
so it's reading it based on how they are interpreting, and they're interpreting it based on the UCC where things are uniform. So you are included through relation because you are 18 years or older and you can create legally binding contracts, and that's what they want for their commercial setting.
So the you is technically our all caps name.
I mean, it could be that person, but that person belongs to the government. So this is why that government or federal law should apply. That's for you. So yeah, you could be that if you want, but you just really related, associated. It's not yours.
See, I don't want to be
You-
somebody I don't have to be.
You would be like the person who's representing you, like that principal in business. Let's say if we dealing with Capital One and Capital One NA, you got Capital One NA representing you. So you is really them, not you. You an individual. The you is Capital One NA, not you. The you is represented by them, which is Capital One NA, and they doing business further with Capital One based on federal terms. They just represent you. So it's you and yours. But then you got we, us, and our too. That's down the line. But you ain't in it. You don't enter into commerce. You're just related to it. You're not doing things for commercial purposes or in a business setting. You're just related to it, associated with it some sort of way. But you're not.
I
You
thought
shouldn't
I had
interpret
phonics problems before.
it. Okay. So how y'all feeling?
Like we good.
Great.
I is we and you is y'all.
I love that. I love that.
No matter what y'all read, y'all always want to look at the definition sections. Always. The agreement's going to have different definition sections that's going to determine how you're going to create contracts with another person. And the Uniform Commercial Code got definitions right here so that y'all can determine and interpret how y'all going to transact with another person. Do y'all understand?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Loud
Yeah.
and clear.
There are some parts of the Uniform Commercial Code that is going to be related to transaction. You're going to get to Article 2 and they're going to say, hey, it's some definitions or some terms that y'all going to see in here that's related to Article 1. Go back to Article 1 and see what that definition is. Article 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they all going to say the same, because without Article 1, you can't even begin to transact and do anything else. So y'all need to understand transacting, because it's happening each and every time y'all give a very important message to each other or any type of notice or notification to each other. Y'all are transacting. Do you understand?
Yes.
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 So action. This is in a sense of a judicial proceeding, meaning that we're going to be judging stuff in a sense of like we in the courthouse, but it's not going to be like that. It's just in the sense of a judicial proceeding, the actions that we take. And so don't go to arbitration. Don't take me to court. Just judge in a sense based on commercial standards. Do y'all understand?
Wow.
Yes.
Clarity.
It was all back.
Hey,
In
Kamaya,
a
did you want us to let you know if there were people in the waiting room? I couldn't remember. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, is it some? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So in a sense, y'all, just in a sense, take action. Don't really take the action, just control the action. Do it in a sense. So watch what you say so that you don't talk as if you the one actually taking the action, because you're not. In a sense, you are, but somebody else is. Just like somebody else is gonna pay. Do y'all understand? How y'all feeling?
Wow. Good
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah, I'm good on it.
Because somebody has to do it for you.
Period. I can't. Just like they can't just apply federal law. Somebody got to do it for them
Right.
so that they can have an insolvency proceeding because, in a sense, you judged it commercially. You had a counterclaim or gave them a counterclaim so that they can set off using any suit of equity that, they possibly can. You gave it to them. Don't take it away. They need that so that they can set off for any claims you may have in the future or they may have in the future. So they hope that, in a sense, you judge the agreement so that you can proceed in a manner in which you just determining your rights. That's it. They don't want you to pay shit. They want you to determine your rights at this circumstance and time so that we can proceed, so that we could go on to a more judicious setting without you, because you don't legally take action. They do. They take legal action. You don't. Lawful action. That's in a sense. How y'all feeling? I heard somebody.
So pretty much in the sense, it's just having the knowledge to know.
Yes. Golly. Yes. Yes.
Not being belligerent.
They're going to call us incompetent.
Yep. Wow.
So whenever you're transacting with another person, you want to make sure that you transact with them in a way in which rights are determined. Do you understand? Rights are determined. Not how much money you got is determined, but the rights. What rights do you have in relation do you have to this notice that you're receiving? Judge it in a sense according to commercial standards so that things can go further and continue for them. Because if ever they just stuck dealing with this according to state law, they aggrieved. They have the right as a party to the actual contract, because I'm not. I'm an individual. Remember, I'm on the outside. As a party to it, they have the right to pursue remedy because federal law should apply. But the way that they determine on the right that this particular company had, which is based on state laws, but federal law can apply. And that's where we come in and judge things in a sense and seeing how this one transaction happened previously. So the transaction that I'm currently in at the present moment can have new value and change the future. Right. So my friend who was aggrieved, who courts determined they had to do things based on state law under whatever state they in, I come in and give them a suit for equity, give them some sort of claims. I'm giving that to them. I don't want to take it away from them. I just know that whenever state laws apply to them again, because now the ball back in their court, I have to be there just like I was before and sign to see that federal laws apply. So we have agreements just for that. For state and federal law applies. How y'all feeling? Anytime state and federal law is not applying to any company that you're related to, in connection with, associated with, they're aggrieved. They're an aggrieved party. Keep yourself out of that business, but let your friend know, your partner know what's going on so that y'all can keep creating contracts and different repeated transactions. How y'all feeling?
So we have to pretty much introduce ourselves as an individual to the bank to let them know under our agreement that our partner is aggrieved, not us.
They're going to know that by your actions. You can't tell the bank nothing. They don't have no relationship with you. They got a relationship with them.
Right, by writing, in writing, yes. But I thought we were the aggrieved party. You cleared that up, that we are aggrieved party. And I see.
But if you allow for your partner to be aggrieved and you associated with them, you are too.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Yes. And then we got to let them know that my partner's aggrieved and somebody need to take action in the form of a set-off.
Exactly. So this is why we got that I and that we. So you got an agreement that's saying we, so that we can do this together so that state and federal law applies. Because that's the only way.
I hate speaking French.
I know, right? What's your thoughts?
So we are aggrieved because I didn't take action.
You breaking up a little bit.
I said, so we are aggrieved because I didn't take action.
Yeah, you're responsible.
So
For
I need
whatever
to
goes in.
correct that. I need to correct that based off the actions or establishing or determining the rights that we have.
So that things can go further, so that they can fix things, they can correct things, they can cure things. What can you do if you don't service the account? Don't put yourself in their shoes. Only time you can become aggrieved if you giving up the FRN. Now you can feel this way. You can feel like shit. Cause yeah, now you're entitled to pursue remedy, rights. So this is why your action is always determining the rights that you have in any situation where somebody else may be an aggrieved party. Because if you reading this right here and you put yourself in it, then you a part of it. I don't see your name in there anyway. I see you, but I don't see you, whoever, you Kamaya, you Shauna. I don't see that. I see you. So whoever you feel you is, it could be you, or you. This is why I want y'all to feel like an individual. So that you can see as an individual, you have rights. Rights to determine how other parties of an agreement can pursue you or any action against you. It's either going to be against you or by another. You control that in a sense where you judge things according to commercial standards.
Or against our all caps name in a way, or
Yeah, that's cool. We can say our. I didn't hear no ownership in it. It is ours. It is a shared name.
Kamaya, I want to clear up something Terrence might have said. He said, what did he say? He said that, they are aggrieved because I didn't say something. I want to make sure that I understand it right. They don't know anybody's aggrieved until I say something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so this is why things are this is why things are done by request. That's why you must pay attention and be aware.
Because the dead don't know nothing of the living.
Because for them, everything is cool. They have to abide by state law. So the way it is created is absolutely fine. They have no problem with it. Now, once you involved and you know state law only apply, but the feds get you covered, what you got to do? Be responsible. If you're responsible, then you help them manage for their business, for you, for everybody in commerce and trade. How y'all feeling?
Like I'm ready to write something.
So I would just like to know, like, a 4 or 5 sentence, paragraph that is universal for every commerce transaction that there is, that everybody knows, like, hey, I know what you know, so you need to make it work, instead of being like, oh, I don't know what that means, or, oh, I'm sorry, we don't deal with that. It's like, what is the like sweet sentences for them to understand?
There
like,
isn't
hey,
one. Variation by agreement. Differences in agreement. There isn't one. The way you transact is based on the services that the service provider tell you how they can service you. You can't guess or assume because of what you know. You have to have knowledge on how the person you're associated with can provide any service to you. You can't just make up one because you know of a service that somebody else provides. You have to read your contract. It's not one. Because the way Navy Federal wants you to talk to you is completely different than how Capital One wants you to talk to them. Variation by agreement. So how you know it is gathering very important information and being knowledgeable of that information, literally. And the notices that you receive and what should be applying and the action that you have to take behind it. That's how you know. Because now you can express yourself. Otherwise, you can't.
Very true, Kamaya, but way to bust my bubble.
No, really? No, it's true. And that's why I say people is the problem. It's you. It's you. I can go to Navy Federal provision and tell you exactly what they saying they want you to do based on these provisions and show you exactly how your payment is only matching one of those provisions. Why can't you?
Lack of knowledge.
It's because I know this. People see this and they want to know this, but they want to know the action behind it, like they gonna take it when it's in a sense. Just be present to what they saying and telling you what's gonna happen, so that how you express yourself warrants another person to take this type of action where they can set off. But I could go and tell you, because of the things that are bold and conspicuous, that's calling for my